Okay. You can still see my screen, right? Yes, you can. Okay.
Yes.
So yesterday we discussed policy management. We learned about QA, QC, and I said that the QC aspect of product management is the QC aspect of product management is what, or rather, the QC aspect of quality management is what usually concerns product managers, right? And I said that QA testers, they are QA testers whose job are just to test because QA testing is very complex. Like we're discussing the simplest version of it, right? But it depends on the products you are managing, depending on the complexity of the product, depending on the industry, depending on the nature, the QA testing process will be more complex or more complicated. And so, even though yes, a product manager can do QA, it's depending on the product, but the basic version of QA, a PM should be able to perform QA testing. And I also said that whilst product testing angle is what product managers essentially do, which is QC, is common practice that the terms QA and QC are used interchangeably. And so if you find yourself discussing with someone, or you're at work, or you're in the field and you are being asked to do QA, you should understand that what they're asking you to do is product testing, right? So today we are going to talk about the product testing methods. But first of all, what is product testing? And okay, we talked about what product testing is. And the aim of testing a product is to ensure that it meets requirements, that it meets user needs, and it delivers on business goals. Remember, I said that that is the purpose of a product from the beginning. And so you are testing against these same metrics. Does my product meet the requirements that I have defined? Does the product meet user needs? As you're also going to be looking at user experience, what are the functionalities, features, and then does it deliver on business goals? Remember that your features, when we're discussing here, we talked about how your features are attached to business initiatives most of the time. And so its product testing involves evaluating a product to ensure that it meets these requirements before it is released to the market. So you must test before you release your product. Now, there are several testing methods in existence, right? But your selection will be heavily dependent on the type of product that you are managing and what type of product development approach your organization is using. And I will explain what this means now. Now, there are two major types of product testing approaches or product development approach, which software development organizations run. And they are product testing by product development approach or product testing by environment. Now, these are two categories of product testing. I'm not talking about the types now. I'm talking about categories, because knowing what category or which type of approach your organization runs helps you determine which type of test is great for your product. And now I've said that there are two major types of approaches that organizations usually use, which are product testing by product development approach or product testing by environment. Now, because this course is for product managers, not QA testers, we are only discussing the aspects that concern you as a product manager. So for the context of this course, we'll only talk about product testing. Oh, so sorry. Thank you, Esther. Now, for the purpose of this course, we're going to address product testing by product development approach, because that's what concerns you as a product manager. Is it better? You guys can see, Abby? I hope you can see. I will just move on. Okay, thank you. Now, generally, software development teams run product development based on two common methodologies, right? While discussing this now, we're discussing product testing by product development approach. Now, product testing based on product development approach, software development teams usually run two common methodologies or frameworks, right? And these frameworks guide how the organizations run their operations, how product teams are structured, and all of that. And there are waterfall methodology and agile methodology. Now, so those of us who are project managers will be familiar with these terms. And if you recall, we've discussed agile methodology and agile frameworks earlier on. So, but like I said, in understanding which testing method to select for your products, you need to understand which of these methodologies your organization is running for in terms of product development, right? Now, under waterfall methodology, product teams that use waterfall methodology perform product activities in a chronological order. Chronological order means one after the other, or in a staircase order. And usually work does not commence on the next project unless the previous step has been completed. Right, so the order of work in waterfall approach, the order of work involves requirements gathering, design, implementation, product testing, and launch or feedback gathering. Now, this coursework has been teaching product development from waterfall standpoint. So we've been addressing, if you notice that we've addressed every stage of the coursework has been taught in the form of waterfall methodology, which is we're telling you that, you do user research, you do market research, then you write your PRD, then you do design, then you hand over the design and PRD to your developers, then they give you back the build, then you test, then you launch, right? And launch involves working on marketing. So we've been using the waterfall framework. In terms of quality management, conducting accurate testing as organizations using waterfall framework or waterfall approach to develop products is dependent on accurate and clear documentation. This just means that in organizations that use the waterfall framework, accurate or clear documentation of requirements is very, very important. In fact, it is crucial. If you do not document requirements in a clear manner or in the right manner, or even in the way that you want it implemented, it affects everything, because you see how even the PRD sort of acts as a benchmark for you when you are creating your test plan for QA testing, right? So in waterfall, it is very dependent on having accurate and clear documentation of expectations and requirements. Now we'll discuss Agile. Under Agile methodology, product teams break down projects into short development cycles called sprints. We know what a sprint is because I've taught what a sprint is. And after every sprint, the goal is to release a working product into the hands of users. Now, this methodology involves continuous testing of the products based on users' feedback from previous release. What this means is the product team has their 2-week sprints. I thought what a sprint is, right? And so the product team have their 2-week sprint, and then they release a working product into the hands of users, and then they gather feedback from users based on the products that they have launched, and then they use that feedback to iterate the next release of the product or the next version of the product. And Agile product testing is great for teams and organizations that require flexible planning and a continuous consumer loop. Now we've addressed the 2 product development approaches that will likely exist or at software teams. Now there's a third approach, and it's not addressed here because it's not very popular. And to be honest, if you know what Agile is and you know waterfall, then the third is a hybrid of Agile and waterfall, and it's just essentially teams that they borrow some frameworks from Agile, and they borrow some working approaches from waterfall, and they implement both in their teams. And so there's no clear explanation, should I say, because it depends on the organization. Like, for example, now Agile and waterfall, is very clear what waterfall is. It's very clear what Agile is. And if you get into a company that is running on Agile or waterfall, it's very easy to understand. Once your company is running a sprint release cycle, you know that this is an Agile organization. If they are doing things in the waterfall way, you know that they are using waterfall methodology, right? But with the hybrid, it's not really set in stone because companies just pick and choose between Agile and Waterfall, what works for them depending on their specific use case. So as I said, if you understand what Agile is and you understand Waterfall, you should be able to understand hybrid. Now that you have determined which approach of product development your organization runs, it will be easier to identify which testing method will be ideal for your product. Please, in case you can't hear me clearly, just let me know. It's raining here, so in case you can't hear me, let me know. Now that you've determined which approach of product development your organization runs, it's now easier to identify which testing method is ideal. So let's get into the testing methods. Number one is concept testing. Now, concept testing involving your users early on in the product development process so as to ensure that the team is working on projects that specifically aligns with your users' needs. And this can be achieved by conducting an online survey, and this survey is designed to determine users' perception about your concepts or ideas. How this works is imagine that your team is designing an onboarding flow. No, not an onboarding flow. Let's assume that your team is trying to test a new logo, right? Or you want to change the onboarding page on your product, and you want to gather feedback to know what users will like or what they will not like on this new development that you're trying to do, right? The best way to do it, you can use concept testing. And in concept testing, you essentially just share the image. Sometimes it's not even an onboarding page. Sometimes it's just maybe information that you want to change on your product, but you want to gauge users' reception ahead of time to know how users will receive it. You conduct quantitative, because online survey is quantitative research. You conduct quantitative research and you just share with your users, with certain users, and see what their perception about your concept or idea is. And concept testing can be used in collaboration or in combination with A/B testing. Now, what is A/B testing? A/B testing, also known as split testing or bucket testing, is a testing approach that involves dividing users into two separate groups and showing a varying version of the product to users in each group. A couple of weeks back, we lightly addressed what A/B testing is. So I'm sure that some of you already have a vague idea of what A/B testing is. But A/B testing is just, imagine that you have 1,000 users, right? And you want to change the payment flow. You want to change the payment flow for your product. Maybe you want to implement, let's use grocery pay as an example. We have grocery pay, right? And you want grocery pay to be a paid per product. And so you and your team are torn between which payment flow do we think users will like more, right? And you say, okay, we can implement pay with transfer, or we can implement pay with card, and we save users' details on the product. But you don't know which of these payment options the users will be more receptive to. So you conduct A/B testing. Your 1,000 users, you can leave 500 users at your control, and then split the remaining 500 into 250, 250. And then you show these two subsets of users, or these two buckets of users, each of these payment options that you have. Remember, you have two payment options. You show your users these two different payment options, and you analyze their behavior using your analytics tool to see which one has a higher user engagement or customer retention. Mind you, you can even still conduct user research, reach out to these users and understand how their experience, because it's one thing for a specific element of the A/B testing to be going well. For example, let's say pay with transfer is actually doing better than pay with card or save card details on the product. You will now take it a step further and conduct user research to see what is the user experience. Yes, they're paying with transfer, but how do they feel about it? Is there an easier way we can implement pay with transfer? Would users like us to implement? Because now you are sure that you validated payment transfer. Conducting user research now lets you know that, okay, this is how we can now simplify or implement a seamless payment transfer experience. But if you don't conduct A/B testing, you will not even be able to get to this point where you are now able to conduct further user research. And then, as I said, it's possible for both options to exist. For those that might be wondering, okay, why are we conducting A/B testing? Why don't we just implement both? Because I'm sure some people have shopped on websites where there are multiple options, especially once you integrate Paystack. I think Paystack is that option. But you might be wondering, why can't we just have both pay with card and pay with transfer? Now, it's because of first of all, it might be because of time constraints. Maybe you're running a sprint and your developers have told you we cannot implement both options in one sprint, but you need to launch one of them, right? And so conducting A/B testing helps you come to that conclusion. Or it might be that you don't have enough resources. Maybe you need 2 developers to be able to implement the feature in a record time, but you have only 1. So you have to you want to make sure that you are using the most optimal option, or you are implementing the most optimal option for your users for all the products. And so by showing them these 2 different payment options, you are able to observe user behavior and see which version has the best user engagement, and then users will opt for that option. That's essentially what A/B testing. And it's A/B testing, the goal is to test a single variable. And this is very important. A/B testing is not you design 2 different A/B testing is not that you design 2 different websites or 2 different user journey or 2 different user experience and you show 2 different buckets of users. That's not A/B testing. You are doing another thing entirely. A/B testing is you are testing for one small element of the entire product flow or one small element of the user journey. Notice how I said payment flow. Sometimes you might be testing for your CTA button. CTA is call to action. You might be testing for a call to action button, right? Maybe you want to see which buttons or which colors are more are moving your users to action. Or maybe it might be, okay, let's place something at a certain place and let's conduct A/B testing to see which of these screens will perform better. So notice that it is you are testing a single variable, not that you are testing 2 completely different versions of a feature or of an element. Now, QA testing is the 3rd type of product testing, and QA testing is the traditional product testing method that we know, which is the one that which is testing your product before launch. And regardless of whatever approach, whether agile or waterfall, you must do this QA testing. You must test your product before it launches, even if you've conducted maybe testing during the product development process. Because A/B testing is something that can come during design, it can come during implementation, but with QA testing, it specifically you testing the entire product or the entire functionality of the feature before it launches. And this is very important, and this is done regardless of whatever approach that your organization uses. Now, once I explained how testing happens yesterday, and I already explained that you develop a test case, you develop a test sheet, and then you log your issues for your development team to resolve. And once they resolve, you test again to confirm that 1, nothing is broken, and 2, the resolution that they have done is actually accurate. The 4th is usability testing. And as the name implies, usability testing involves testing how users are able to use your products by asking them to complete specific tasks and watching them do it. So it's like usability testing is like you give your users assignments, specific users though. So it's not as if you just sporadically just send to all your users. You highlight, it's always good to highlight your active users when you are conducting user research, right? Your analytics tool will show you who your active users are, because your active users are people that are most likely going to advocate for your product. They are most likely very interested in your products, and they are most likely excited and invested in your products, right? And so, just as a general practice, if you want to conduct user research, unless the kind of research you are conducting is what you're trying to do is activation. in the sense that you want to see, maybe you have users that have stopped using your product and you want to understand why they stopped using your product. That's different. But if you are trying to conduct active user research, you conduct it on your active users. Right now, the way usability testing works is you highlight your active users and you ask them to perform specific functions, very, very specific actions for your product. Right now, remember during PRD, we wrote user stories. Your user stories can guide you in giving your users tasks for the actions that they are going to perform when you want to conduct usability testing. So if, for example, a user story for a, what's a user story for instance, an example now? I can't think of one, but just essentially using your user story can guide you. It's not necessarily a benchmark, but it guides you when you are trying to come up with specific tasks. Or you can look at your products and having conducted previous user research, you know why users are using your product, and so you ask them to perform specific tasks on your product. While you are doing this, you are observing. You're not telling them what to do. You just tell them what you want them to replicate, and you watch how they go about it. So it could be that you want, let's say you are the PM for Google Meet, for example, and you want your users to book a meeting. So you want your users to schedule a meeting on another person's calendar, get on the call, and record while on the call. That's a task you're giving the user. You don't tell them what else to do. So you won't tell them that, okay, you go to Gmail, then you click on this button, then you open Drive, then you open Calendar, and you don't tell them. You just give them specific tasks and observe how they do it. Now, usability testing can happen in person or remote. In person will look like you go to wherever your users are, or they come to you, whichever user you've highlighted, and you tell them, you give them this specific task, and you just watch them on the computer or on their phone and observe how they are interacting with your product. Remote usability testing will look like you get on a call with your user and they are recording their screen or they are sharing their screen, and you're just seeing how they are navigating to perform the task that you have performed. Now, the primary goal of usability testing is to find out how easy it is to use your product and to uncover any potential issues that exist throughout the user's journey on your product. So you want to see, it's one thing to have designed a product, but you want to also see what the user experience is, right? How can we improve it? That's the purpose of usability testing. And usability testing can be done at any point of the product development process and is done between a tester, as I said, and a real-life user. The tester gives the user specific tasks to complete and observes the user's behavior on the product while also listening to feedback. The fifth product testing method we're going to address is first-click testing. And with first-click testing, just again, as the name implies, product teams are looking to see which parts of the user interface users click for the first time when they're trying to complete tasks. So when users get on the website, what's the first thing their user clicks? Or where did the user scroll to, right? That's what first-click testing is testing for. And this testing method is great for any product with a user interface, such as a website, apps, or mobile web page, and it's used to test whether the product flow or page navigation is effective. This type of testing is great for, let's say, you're trying to determine where do we place important CTA buttons, or where do we place important information, or where do we even put payment information. You want to put it where, if you observe, if you conduct first-click testing, you are going to be able to now identify that, okay, this is the optimal, based on feedback from this type of testing. You will now realize that, okay, this is the most optimal place to place this button. With first-click testing is great for websites. I know you can use it for applications, but it's really great for websites because with mobile phones, it's really, you have a smaller or a more limited view, right? Because the mobile device is smaller. But with websites, you are working on a desktop or you're working on a laptop, which means there are so many distractions, right? You can have multiple tabs open. the user might be doing something else. And so it's just really great for websites, just understanding how to, knowing that, okay, with websites, especially on desktops, the potential for your users to be easily distracted or quickly distracted is very high. And so you want to design your website so that it's very optimal. It has a very optimal user experience, that your users are able to take the actions that you want them to take. Right. Now, so as I said, this type of testing just helps the team identify areas where they want to place CTA buttons or important information such as that. Now, the last we're going to address is we're going to address is regression testing. Now, regression testing is done to test a product's existing features as more updates are added to the product. Yesterday, someone had mentioned during the Q&A session that her product was having a lot of bugs. Now, conducting regression testing is something that can even help improve the product for such a scenario. Regression testing is a bit more technical than the other type of test. So the other type of testing, as a PM, you can easily do it. But regression testing is something that maybe only a technical PM or an engineering manager, someone who's technically inclined, can do it. But it involves writing a test for a known bug and rerunning this test after every change to the code base. So with regression testing, the product team is just trying to see, okay, we have a product that is already live. Think of a product like Netflix now. They already have a feature. If Netflix wants to launch another feature, the likelihood that they will conduct regression testing is very high. Why? Because they want to minimize the possibility of things breaking. As I've said over and over again, the possibility of things breaking when a product is live on the App Store is very, very high. No matter, you might have done the excellent QA and products might still break because of, bug that maybe you didn't anticipate, especially once you start to launch. When you launch your MVP, you might not experience this issue. But once you have an existing product that you are constantly pushing features and you are constantly launching features on top of existing features, you might find that your product might start breaking down. Right. And so regression testing just helps to mitigate this type of risk or this type of likelihood. And it's just essentially, okay, the technical team has highlighted that this is a recurring bug. And so they write a test for that bug. And so every time they want to launch a new feature to the existing product, they test for that particular bug because they've highlighted it. It might be more than one bug, but because they've highlighted that this bug is recurring and this can cause the product to break, right? They will now test at the point of launch for this type of bug. And in conclusion, product testing is critical to the success of a product. And while it can be a responsibility that is designated to a QA test, as I said, there are professional QA testers who can run from very simple QA tests to the most complex QA tests that you can even imagine, because QA tests can be very, very complicated, and so they are specialists for it. But as a product manager, you can find yourself, very likely that you find yourself performing QA. And so the basic QA that will be required of you, nobody is going to be expecting a product manager to conduct complex QA. But the basic QA that will be required of you as a product manager is great that you know them. It's great that you understand which approach your company works in, and then know which product testing is great for your product. It's also worthy to note that QA testing, as I said, it can be very complex, and so depending on the nature of your product, if you find that the QA testing that you are required to do is too complex, if you find that the QA testing you are about to do is too complex, you should bring it up to your manager, and maybe the company can consider hiring a QA tester, right? Remember that the choice of which testing method you go with is dependent on the product development approach undertaken by your organization, and it's common practice to combine multiple testing methods. I said earlier, combining concept testing at the design stage, for example, and then doing A/B testing during implementation is very common practice, right? So you can even use about 3 or 4 testing, depending on your depending on the resources that are available to you, depending on, because again, QA testing is it can be intensive, right? It can require a lot of effort. And so you can't say, if you're the only QA tester or you're the only PM on your team, you cannot say you want to do concept testing, you want to do A/B testing in addition to all the other things. Mind you, you still do QA testing at the end of, before launch, in addition to all the things that you need to do. And so you need to look at the resources that are in front of you in deciding which testing method will work for you. Look at the nature of your product, even look at the problem you're experiencing, and then deciding on which testing method works for you. If you've not taken your attendance, the link is in the chat. So she's going to take your attendance if you're here. So that's it for today's class. Today's class is very short and sweet. I don't think that we'll have questions, but if you have questions, you can ask your questions. Next week, okay, we'll have questions here. Livingstone.
Okay. Good afternoon, ma.
Good afternoon.
So I want to try and open the slide again, but it's not showing. I have a
Okay.
particular question. You mentioned something about agile methodology, and so I saw that there are some QA testing kind of that are for agile methodology. There's one particular thing I saw, and it's that does traditional PM has their own set of QA testing to use? Like for instance, now if I'm in the order of a traditional product management and I'm not running a agile methodology, will I
That's
be limited
waterfall.
to use? Ma?
That's waterfall.
Exactly. So it means that it's only the waterfall that will be permitted for me to use, right? Or
No, so
will I?
so waterfall. Let me explain. So waterfall and agile is organization. What kind of methodology is your organization running? Is it waterfall or is it agile? That's what the approach is. Now, in knowing the approach that your organization is running, you are not going to be able to determine which testing method is appropriate for you, dependent on the approach that your organization is running. Does that make sense?
Oh, okay. Exactly. Thank you so much. Get
Yeah.
it.
There's also something I wanted to address. Let me share my screen again. I want to show you guys something. So where is waterfall? So remember how yesterday I was telling, I don't remember who asked the question, but I was talking about how some people might be scared that the functioning of a PM is too overwhelming. And whilst you do find yourself performing a lot of tasks, there is also a structure. There's a method to the madness, right, so to speak. Now, what do I mean? Look at waterfall, for example, right? Requirements gathering is the PM's job, right? But design is not your job. Implementation is not your job. So while these people are doing their job, what you are doing is just support. Support in the sense that when design finish designing, you review, and you are reviewing based on your expectation of what the product should look like. What's your expectation of the product is documented on PRD, and you probably mapped a flowchart. So you review to see whether, okay, they designed the screens in the way, or they designed the user experience, because the product designer, as I said when we're discussing product design, is the expert here. Now, while you have designed a user journey, in their experience, it's very commonplace for them to tweak for some things, to add some screens. And so when they design, you review. It doesn't have to be that, oh, it must be exactly what you have mapped on your flowchart. The flowchart will just give them an idea of where to start from. Now, you are reviewing design here, Abby. Once you finish reviewing design, you hand over the design to developers. You say, okay, these screens are ready. Front end, come and take. Back end takes priority, right? Everybody has their work. Between these stages, you are just providing support. That's your work. So you can see that I don't want to say you're chilling, but you're kind of chilling. So you're not stressed. And then it's when product testing now starts. You now come back into the equation and you're not conducting testing. And then while you're testing, you're also, remember that from the first stage of product development is race to launch dates. And so while you're testing, you're also collaborating with marketing and saying, hey, marketing, we're already testing. Or how is our launch materials, right? How is our launch materials? How is it going? Are we on track for launch? Because now you're probably 2 to 3 weeks away from your launch dates. So you're following up aggressively, but you're also testing. And so it's not as complex as some of us may have thought it was. Livingstone, when everybody has asked their question, I'll call you again. Just leave your hands up. Someone else, I think Paul has his hands raised, but Amobi Samuel. Amobi Samuel.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. I wanted to, from what you just explained about the testing, the A/B testing. There's this platform I use, one private advert. So it got to a point where I now saw a button where they ask for you toggling between the old template and the new template. So it's like they did an upgrade, and now they are now giving you the option of returning the old template or using the new template. So if you click on the old, it will take you back to the old template for you to continue your work. Would I call that A/B testing?
No, that sounds like concept testing. Because A/B test, if it's just A/B testing, you will see only one version, right? So A/B testing is they're showing different buckets of their users a specific version of the product. So with A/B testing, you don't get to see the two versions on the product. You see only one. Then maybe you just find that somebody else somewhere is seeing another version from what you are seeing.
Okay.
Yeah, so what's that could have been that sounds like concept testing where they're trying to see which of the templates the users will prefer. And don't be surprised that if they find that a lot of users prefer the old template, they might just discard the new one and stick with the old.
No, okay. Thank you very much.
Welcome. Paul.
Yeah, actually, my question is not related to the topic today, but I would like to find out, are we going to have any crash course on data analysis at some point? Because I know we'll have to work with data from research. So how do we get to...
I already taught an analytics class, and I think I shared resources and a short certification. You can go to Learning Resource and search for that.
Okay, maybe I missed it then. All right.
Yeah. Najib. Najib, please unmute your mic. Okay. Shehu, you can unmute.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yeah,
now,
good afternoon.
see, I want to believe that. I want to believe that as a product manager, you can establish your own part of. You can establish you can stand on your own, like you have your own establishment. Now, in the case that you are.
Wait, before you go
this
for
is what I wanted to say. I mean, when you have, assuming you are the product owner, and you want to be the product manager, I think it's allowed then.
I'm still confused. Like you are the CEO of the company.
Okay. Yeah, I still want to be the product manager because you are a trained. Assume somebody is a trained product manager in the first place. So before he has a company, before he has a company, so he can be and he decided to be the same product manager and the CEO. I'm sure it's allowed.
Yeah, you can do that. Most startups actually start because most startups the CEO function as the first product manager before they now maybe
Okay.
hire another PM.
Okay. My question is now, okay, as a product manager now, and you are the web developer. I mean product developer. So you now develop the product.
You're
You're the one
not a
that
product
writes the
developer.
code.
You're not developer.
No,
Developer writes code. Can you write code?
I know. I'm just saying, let's say the
Okay, okay.
product manager is same thing as as web. I mean,
And
developer.
you're also the
So
CEO.
no, not even the CEO in this case. I'm clear with that one. The second
Okay,
one is the second question. So
okay.
you are the product developer. So and you are the one that writes your PLD. So in the team, what other team or or stakeholder can the product manager now give the review to, so that he can be satisfied that what he has write in terms of the PLD and what he has developed could meet the product requirements.
There will be you will have a manager. So
Okay.
in terms of review, your manager can review your work.
Okay. Manager
But
like
if you're
general
the
manager
CEO,
of the product.
it's a bit tricky.
Hello?
If you are the CEO, it will be difficult because who is going to review the CEO's work?
Okay. That one to go. So as the product manager and as the product
So
developer,
as a
you
product
can.
manager, right?
Mm,
Product as a product manager, you also have a manager who is a product manager, but they are more senior. That's why they are your manager.
okay.
So your manager might be a senior. Okay, so let's say you and I work on a team, for example. You're a product manager, I'm a product manager.
Mm,
I will be your manager because I have more experience in products, right? And so I can now review things like your PRD and review I cannot review your code, but I can review your PRD and your product related activities.
all right. I'm satisfied now. Thank you.
Yeah. Livingstone, do you still have that question? Livingstone, you can ask.
Okay, thank you, ma. Yes, you mentioned something about reviewing the work at each stage as a, let's say as a traditional PM now, using waterfall, which means that I can't proceed to the next stage without the success of the previous. Now, my question is the review equivalent to testing? Like,
Which
is it
is
possible there is a test after each level before I transit to another level? Or is it
which
that for a traditional product management, after everything has been done, will not be that it will be at the end of that thing we'll do the
no no
testing
no
like
no 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 that will be counted that will be very unproductive. You review as you go. It's the review that will now determine that you can go to the next stage. But so when waterfall says that it's in a chronological order, you cannot design without PRD. That's what we mean. You can't design without PRD. You can't code without design. Do you see?
mm. Is now that review, is it equivalent to like a testing
No, it's
of
not a.
what the
So
okay,
the review is even mostly the review that only happens is only design and user experience because you cannot review
oh,
code. You can't review
okay.
code. So the only thing that happens once developers are done with implementation is you start QA testing.
Hmm.
Mm,
All right, thank you, ma.
yeah. Okayemi. Okayemi, you can unmute your mic.
Okay, good evening, ma'am.
Good evening.
Yeah, sorry, my is not question. I sent you a DM, please. Can let me to look into it. Thank you, ma'am. Hello,
I haven't
did you
graded
get
for
that?
last I haven't graded for last week. That's your DM, right?
No,
Your
it's not about grading. Yeah, I submitted the assignment, but it's telling me that I'm missing. So I said
okay.
I screenshot some Thanks to you, and I sent to you. So just
Yeah,
let me
that's
to
fine.
look into it.
I haven't graded, so when I want to grade, I will look out for your submission.
It's okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Uh,
Prince Will. Let you go, Prince Will.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Please, my question is, how long does it take for a test result to be out? If you are testing on anything, what's the time frame?
I don't know how to explain. So, okay, let me try. Testing is not, it's not, you're probably imagining testing like, I don't know, you go to the lab and you test and you're waiting for results. That's not how QA testing works. QA testing is you are testing on the product. So your developers have built a product for you, right? Think of QA testing as you being the first user of the product. But you're on the team, you're the product manager. But think of it as you being the first user. And so you are replicating all the steps that your users will use. You are documenting all the errors. There's some things that you might not even know it's a bug, right? Maybe something like when you click on one button, the app shuts down. It's with experience that you realize that that's a bug. But at first, you might not realize that's a bug. But you document it on the test sheet. So it's not that you are waiting for any results. You are testing and you are documenting your issues on a test sheet. And then when you are as you are documenting, the developers are also looking at that test sheet and they are fixing, right? And so it's like on Notion now, your developer can tell you that something has been resolved, right? They will be able to leave a comment for you that something has been fixed, right? You know how on Notion you can tag a stakeholder. When we did the backlog, I told you guys, and even roadmap, you tag relevant stakeholders, and that's how test sheets work. You tag the stakeholder, which are your developers. And so when they have fixed a certain item on the test sheet, they leave a comment for you that is done so that you can go back and retest. So that's the process. That's how it works. It's very iterative. It's not like you wait for something to be done, then you go back. Is that clear? Okay, I think that's clear. I saw someone else's hands raised. Okay, if you have Augusta.
Okay. Hello, Ma.
I can hear you.
My question is on A/B testing.
Mm-hmm.
My question is on A/B testing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, say your product is an MVP, that this is the first launch, like this is the first version of my product, right? And I want to do A/B testing on a particular feature, let's say like the payment feature you talk about. How do I like launch the
I don't
product with
recommend
that?
it. It's not recommended to do A/B testing for MVP. It's not recommended.
Okay.
Yes, because first of all, with A/B testing, you don't have your users. Remember, this is the first iteration of your product. So what are you going to be asking? You can't be asking potential users, right? In conducting A/B testing, you do it on users that are already familiar with your product. So it's best for existing products.
Ma. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ma.
Najib, I called you earlier. Are you ready to speak now, Najib?
Ready to speak. I'm so sorry, ma. My network was bad then. I couldn't unmute myself.
All right, go ahead.
So, good afternoon. Please, ma, this time around, it's regarding a brother. One of my brother just got shortlisted in this program, and I don't know, he's not getting any progressive email on how he's going to do it. I'm together with him now, so I don't know if you can give him chance to speak with you.
No. Is he part of this cohort?
No, I don't know. He just received a message from email that they are going to be, I don't know, on 26th that there's going to be an, is it orientation for them?
Send me a DM. Send me a screenshot of the email. but I can't help you now. But you can send me a screenshot and I will forward it to your manager.
Oh, okay. So no problem. I will ask him to screen grab and send it to me. Then I'll forward it to you for clarification. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, so this is our last topic. We've covered everything under, well, not everything under product management, because product management is very extensive, but we've covered to the best of everything we've taught you. Is you can go into the world of product management and you can excel as a product manager with all the things that you learned now. And so next week we are going to attempt to do a revision. So if you have, Joshua and I are going to come up with something, maybe a poll within the week, but we're just going to dedicate next weekend to revision or maybe question and answer, and any points of confusion that anybody could have had during the duration of this course. And again, I keep telling you guys, go on LinkedIn, look at responsibilities that are associated with product manager, so that if you have questions now, you have opportunity to ask your questions and we can resolve it. So you are set up for success when you go into the job market. What else? We are also going to do so when I say this is the last class, it doesn't mean that there will be attendance next week. So if you think that, oh, we're not doing anything, there's going to be attendance every single week until this program is over. So just FYI, but there will be an attendance next week. And then next week, I will also be sharing what our project is. So yesterday, I explained that project is 50% of your scoring for the purpose of this program. So it's very important, right? And so next week, we're going to go over what your project will be. And so you can all get started on that. You are going to present your project. So it's very serious. It's not, you cannot, the people that go and copy ChatGPT for assignments, or copy Gemini, or give me Google verbatim, I'm waiting for all of you to come and defend your project when the time comes. So yes, that is it for today. Assuming nobody else has an assignment, question. Anybody else has a question, you can ask. If you don't, we can call it a day at this point. So I'm just opening the floor one more time to any question. If there's no question within the next 5 minutes, we can close. Augusta.
It's in regards to job opening. I've been seeing job offers on LinkedIn, but I saw one that caught my attention. Even Shehu got an email in regards to that, because he shared it with me, that after asking the requirement, like they're looking for a junior product manager and all that would work with a senior product manager. But in one of the requirements, they're saying that you must have a BS in engineering or something like that.
You don't have to.
So I'm now wondering.
Go on.
So anybody can just apply. You can ignore that requirement.
Yes.
You can just apply.
I don't have a BS in engineering.
Okay. All right. Okay, ma. Thank you, ma.
People should ask questions that are related to what we taught today. Everybody's asking about job now. Nnamdi.
Okay, good evening, ma.
Good evening.
Please, I just want to, you spoke of something like that, but I just want to be clarified. We're going to be, the grocery pay demo project we've been using throughout the course, that's what we're going to defend, right?
No, I'm going to give you another project.
Okay, another project. Okay, that would be beautiful. All right, so I just wanted to be sure.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
John. John A. John, we can't hear you. I can see you're speaking, but I can't hear you. Try leaving and joining again. Insikak Johnson.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so I was looking for the slides that we've been having, and I've not been able to locate that.
It's down Google Classroom.
Okay, and also I missed the last two assignments. Is there a way I can catch up with that, please?
No, you can't do anything about that. You can catch up. You can do it for your own personal experience. You can't.
Okay, so there's no way I can submit it again.
No, there's no way you can submit it.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Livingston, your last will take for today.
Okay, ma. Thank you, ma. Please, I think I have an issue because now that everyone is kind of, I'll go to LinkedIn to search for job and all of those things I know. So I think I'm kind of intimidated. How about me? Because I'm not a graduate yet. I'm still a student of UI.
I guess in
And can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
So I'm thinking like, okay, what is the lot of students like me? Is it that it's possible to work as, because I don't know the flexibility and how to be in the job market. Like, can I still be working as a product manager and still be doing my academic work?
I wouldn't know. You'd have to. I'm sure there are students amongst you that are working full time. So you would have to reach out to them and ask how they juggle it. I know that students actually work, but in terms of how they do it, you will now have to, since you have a unique experience, you have to reach out to your fellow students who are already full-time employed or part-time or whatever, and ask them how they are juggling it. But it's possible because, as I said, I know students who are employed.
Okay, I don't wanna.
All right, that is it for today. See you guys next weekend for a very, very exciting time. Also, there will be an assignment this week, so just look out for that. Either today or tomorrow, the assignments will be up.